Alright, y'all, we're back with another Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade video, and today we're actually going to be covering a guide, basically going over the new event. As you know, every 2 weeks we get a new event. So this time we are going to have a return of one of their formulas, which is going to be the Phantom Battles. And in these Phantom Battles, you're able to, get a bunch of rewards and, of course, Phantom Medals, which you can use to exchange for the cursed characters, which are Hanami, Jogo, and Mahito, right? So let's actually talk about it, and then we'll go over, essentially how to play it and what's new, and we'll cover over everything. This is basically a guide to it. So first offs first, as you know, we do have our regular stages for these Phantom Battle events, and there's actually going to be quite a difference compared to the ones that we've gotten previously. So pertaining to this one specifically, they removed Extreme 2, and we no longer have that anymore, and added a brand new mode, and that brand new mode is going to be SP Battle, right? So of course that's basically what we're gonna be covering. The regular stages aren't too difficult, you just kind of do them and then at least beat the last one time, and then you just farm very hard too. That's still gonna be the best stage to farm your medals and currency exchanges. So now we got that out of the way. Let's go to the SP battle stage, right? So this is basically going to be the new mode that we're actually going to be talking about, and we'll go over it a little bit and kind of what it is, what you kind of have to expect, and what you're going to be aiming for when you're trying to do this. So there's going to be two bosses, right? And it's going to be Esso and Ketsudu, as I've already mentioned earlier. And in SP battle, this is more of a ranking type evaluation score mode, right? So you're going to score high based on how many handicaps or support you have active. And what I mean by this is if you played any other gacha games, or I mean, there could be other games that aren't gachas that may have this, but basically you will have an evaluation, and based on how many handicaps you apply to yourself, you're able to increase your overall score that you can get. So you just want to have as much, debuffs to yourself, modifiers that make it harder for you, so that way you can score higher, right? So that's basically what this is going to be. And we're going to actually talk about that and what is going to be the best modifiers, or yeah, basically modifiers, handicaps and supports that you want to choose. So I'll just kind of go over everything that's on screen just in case if you don't know how to read Japanese. All right, so over here on the top left, this is all your handicaps and supports modifiers, everything. Then the middle one is all your handicaps, and then the right one is all your supports. Then this bottom button here is to reset them all, so that way it removes everything. Now, the highest evaluation you can get is an S. So you're trying to aim for as many debuffs or handicaps as possible, so that way you're able to reach an evaluation of S. To get that, you have to have at least plus 18 on this. So as you can see, every handicap that's on here has a plus number on it, and based off that, it will, of course, add numbers to it, and eventually you'll be able to get to 18, excuse me, and that's what we're aiming for, right? So I'm going to tell you which are the best ones to put, so that way it's not too difficult. It is going to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to be using a free-to-play team. It will take a little bit of RNG, but we can get it done, I guarantee it. Now, one thing I do like to note before I start going off of what handicaps you want to get, if you do manage to put handicaps, for example, if you put these handicaps and you have plus 6, right, already, if you even put one support buff, your evaluation will always be C. So you do not want to have any support buffs if you are aiming for a high evaluation. You do not want any whatsoever. You only purely debuffs handicaps. All right. So now let's actually talk about which handicaps we're going to be applying and what are the best ones, so you can get the best score, right? So basically the recommended ones. So first up, right here, we have ally HP down. We're going to go for plus 3. This is going to reduce our allies' maximum HP by 40%. So that's going to be the first one that we choose, right? Next up, we are going to have increased enemy damage dealt. We're going to go for the plus 2, right? Because this is we want to take damage and we want to have a higher score, but we do not want to take too much damage to the point that they are one-tapping us. So we're not going to be putting the plus 3, we're going to put the plus 2. So basically increases damage dealt to all enemies by 20%. That's basically how much damage you're going to do to us. Next up, we have 8 enemy HP up. We are going to go for the plus 2. This is going to increase the enemy's HP by 30%. We're not going to go for 50%, because if they have too much HP and we're unable to one-shot them, then they're practically going to destroy us right after that. So we want to make sure that we're capable of one-shotting them. Next up, we have enemy damage reduction. So this is going to reduce the damage taken by all enemies. We're going to go for 30%. If we go for 50%, it's way too much, and it becomes very, very difficult to actually defeat the boss. So this is going to be what we're aiming for right here. Next up, we have enemy skill change. It's going to change the enemy skill. So when their HP is below 80%, the damage dealt is increased by 100%. That's basically what their skill change is going to be. So don't make sure you don't get them below 80%, but you shouldn't be, because mainly the main goal for the actual event is to actually try to nuke them all at once, right? So right here, we're going to go for 3. It's not too difficult. Just nuke them. Just don't get them below 80% HP. And when you do, your last character alive should be Gojo. So, I mean, he'll avoid everything anyway, so it doesn't matter how much damage they do. Next up, we are going to have DK. So, over here, we are going to have +3. +3 is going to be the best by far. This is going to be increasing the damage dealt by Rot. So, now we're already at 15. As you can see, we're at 15 right now so far. And Rot, I believe, is one of their skills, right? Or I think I'm not entirely. I don't remember entirely, but either way, just putting this doesn't really change the gameplay too much, and it's still doable. Next up, we are going to have non-shadow damage taken. So this is going to damage taken by characters other than shadows increase by 120%. We're just going to go for the +3, and then that's going to put us at 18. This is going to be the best setup for trying to get a high evaluation. So as you can see, I am at 18, right? Now that we got that out the way, we have the recommended. You kind of have an understanding of how the game or game mode functions. We're going to get right into it, right? So this is going to be the team setup that you're going to be wanting to run. This is more of the free-to-play standard kind of team that you have. So you're going to have your Yaga, you're going to have your Inumaki, you're going to have your Yuki, Gojo, and then Nanami. And then, of course, you have your memories. The memories are easily accessible. They're not too difficult. Like, maybe if you don't have Gojo's, just go for any that can increase his damage output. The best one you have, best memory that he can use, and you should be good to go. Everything else should be easy to get, right? Like, majority of them are free to play, so very good, right? This formation, basically how you're going to run it is you're going to want to be buffing with Yaga. Since the enemy does have a mechanic where they're unable to be debuffed, you want to have buffs mainly in your team formation rather than debuffing the enemy. So we have him for buffs. Obviously, he's one of the best free-to-play buffers, and he's still one of the best buffers in general, right? And then on top of that, we are going to have Inumaki. Next up, we have Yuki. As you know, Yuki is a tremendous support character in the game. He provides reduced damage taken. He can increase damage during, your Jujutsus, your ultimates. He does a bunch of stuff. He could give you cursed energy regen. He's really good. So naturally, he's going to be here, and he's very good for free-to-plays and non-free-to-plays. So that's why he's here. And then we have Gojo. Of course, Gojo is going to be our carry. He's going to be the one who absolutely nukes the stage. Nothing crazy. And then, of course, you have his memory for him. Just get whatever memory you have that can do as much damage as possible. And then you have Nanami. When running this team, you have to keep in mind when you're actually running the stage, you do not want your Yaga to die. You do not want your Yuki to die. It's okay if Inumaki dies, but you want to try to have them alive as long as possible, and Yuki definitely has to make it to the end of the stage, right? Because you want to use his ult along with Gojo's ult at the same time. So just keep that in mind. You just want to try to have them. You might have to retry a few times, but your main goal is to have Yuki be the only one that probably does. I mean, if nobody can die, the better, but Yuki is not Yuki. Inumaki is the main one you want to die. So you're just trying to keep everybody alive except Inumaki. And then, of course, we'll run into the battle, and then I'll kind of show you. Right? So I'll show you what to do. I'll kind of like go over it a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy. I do have a video already for this that you'll probably see right after me actually beating the stage with the free-to-play characters. But let's just actually talk about, what the actual enemies do, because, of course, they do have some mechanics to them and patterns and skills and stuff like that you kind of want to just be on the lookout for that can kind of change how you play, right? So we have Esso first. Esso is the guy with the bow tie, right? He has damage reduction until you kill Ketchizu. Ketchizu is obviously the one that looks like a curse. Like he actually looks like a curse. Uh, so he, on top of that, he also removes debuffs from himself at the start of every turn. He's not immune to it, so you can use a debuff on him, but it has to be at that specific turn that you are going to nuke the boss, right? Because he will be removing the debuffs every turn from himself, both of them. So just keep that in mind. The team is mainly going to focus around buffing yourself. On top of that, he increases his own damage and special count when he gets below 50% HP, but that's completely fine because the goal is to actually nuke the boss entirely, like nuke all of them. And I could have swore that they had like a revive after you beat it, but I guess maybe they removed it. So yeah, I mean, there's that. I swear they did. Maybe I'm just misremembering, but I'm pretty sure they had a revive before. Anyways, that goes for all the like patterns and skills basically of what Esso does. Now let's talk about Ketchizu. So Ketchizu can attack 2 times every turn. On top of that, he can remove debuffs from himself at the start of every turn, just like Esso, and he gets 1 special count when HP is below 50%. So very similar to Esso, but a little bit less, right? Esso is kind of the, you know, the one that's going to be harder to kill, but realistically, they kind of do the similar things. So they're not very too difficult, but just keep in mind you cannot debuff them until the specific turn that you're going to nuke them because they remove debuffs from themselves at the start of each turn, right? Now that you know that, let's actually get into what we're going to be doing with our team. So we have Yaga here. Obviously, Yaga is going to just continuously keep spamming his buff for the entire team. With Inumaki, you're probably just going to want to reduce damage for your team. And then with Yuki, of course, the first skill you're going to want to use is the one that provides cursed energy regen for your entire team. That way your Yaga can spam more throughout the entire fight. So we're going to use that. And then, of course, Gojo, you're just going to want to usually be spamming his third skill just because that will help him get his charge quick enough to use his ultimate. So we'll do it like this. Right? And then you basically just have to keep doing it and pray they don't kill Yuki or they don't kill Yaga, right? Because those are the ones that you don't want to die. The one that you do want to die is Inumaki. It's okay if he dies because then once you have Nanami in, you'll have Yaga's buff, you'll have Nanami's buff, and then you'll have Yuki's buff. On top of that, you'll have his ult with Gojo's ult, and you'll be able to nuke the entire stage. Obviously, I'm not going to retry this right now because, I mean, it's a pain. But basically, that's what you have to do. But yeah, that's basically it. I do have footage of me actually beating it. That way you can actually see. Other than that, that's about it. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll let the rest of this video play out. Peace.
片付けます。しっかりしろ。手加減はしてあげるよ。では、教育の時間だ。ここが踏ん張りどころです。援護します。さて、楽しくなってきた。一度引かなければ。いけるぜ。今なら俺でも。それじゃおしまいにしようか。呪連素術。術式判定。赤。いかがですか。私の術式はここからですよ。集中するんだ。やっちゃっていいの？後ろは任せてください。そう焦るなよ。まあ最強だからね。